Hi, I'm Terry Trumbull with Breathe, California. I'm a retired environmental lawyer, and I'm talking with Dick Lampour. Both Dick and I are connected. Dick helps people who want to make charitable donations to Breathe, California. I serve on our board of directors. So naturally, the one that feels a need to give a bunch of legal caveats about our discussion is Dick. You're on.
Thank you. I do want to mention that no one should just hear an idea here as much as I might like it and they might like it and run out and do something without going to their own professional advisors, because the information that we're presenting here is general information and it is not designed as a specific proposal to any individual to act upon.
And as an example of that is even before I had Dick on the TV show, he persuaded me how useful it was to put Breathe California into my will. And we also have life insurance that we can talk about. But what I did was went to my estates and probation lawyer and talk about this, and to get it set up to make sure that it was done in absolutely the legally correct way. And neither Dick or I are lawyers working in this field. So we mentioned another couple of areas that you could get engaged in. I have Breathe California in my will.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's the way a lot of people might
Sure.
give it. Is very rarely do you want to out and out give, if you have kids, but in my case, neither of my children have had children of their own yet, and we occasionally go on vacations together. If all four of us go down in the same airplane, Breathe California gets my estate. It's a pretty remote contingency, but you need to provide for it.
Called a contingent bequest.
Yeah.
Terry, thanks for mentioning that whole area of bequests and giving by will or living trust. Yeah. That's how most larger gifts are made. They're made through people's estate plans, their wills or their living trusts. Or another very popular way of doing it is through a gift by changing the beneficiary and making a gift of whatever remains in somebody's qualified retirement plan. These are all what I call changeable gifts or change your mind gifts, because they're completely flexible. Unlike the life income program that I talked about earlier, the charitable remainder trust, these gifts are changeable. They're revocable. Lots of people like that word revocable because it doesn't go until you do. That's nice. You have full access to the money. You can use it. If you need to spend it, it's spendable.
Well, I'm going to use myself as the example here. You probably told me about this before, and I wasn't old enough to think it was viable, but now I am. I'm 63. I have held a lot of different positions in my life, which is going to be more and more common. The average person these days has 5 different career changes over the course of their life. So I have 4 different IRAs that I can start taking. So tell me where there might be a tax benefit in giving some or part of one of those IRAs to a charity like Breathe California.
Well, there could be a big tax benefit, not to you, but it's a tax benefit in terms of not paying your heirs, not paying income tax that would be due on those qualified retirement plan balances when they transfer from one individual to another. And when you begin to take money out of that plan. For all transfers other than spousal rollovers, those could be taxable events. Certainly they are taxable when the income is taken out of the plan. And what happens when you give those balances to charity is that they get the full balance. There's no tax. So what in effect you've done by making a charitable gift is you've turned some tax dollars into gift dollars to Breathe California or another charity. And those gifts are very, very easy to set up. All you have to do is call your plan administrator and say, send me a change of beneficiary form, and then you can put down the charitable beneficiary and also your non-charitable beneficiaries, your loved ones. It just makes sense to think about doing that. I mean, the government is kind of like in terms of qualified plan balances, is kind of like the AMCO transmission man. You know, you can pay me now or you can pay me later. Okay?
Well, again, let's put this in real world terms. If nothing else, it will probably astound much of our audience. But in 1971, the company I was working for, a nonprofit research foundation, said you're not allowed to join our pension plan until you work for a year. So I worked 13 months for them, got one payment, and then decided to switch to working for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Mm-hmm. So that one contribution, and I think my salary was $14,000 a year. 3, 4, 5%. What are we talking about? Call it $100. It's now worth $6,000.
They have a way of doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So people understand how much appreciation. So talk a little bit about using that as an example about what options that I have that could either work to my benefit or to my heirs' benefit. Mm-hmm. The way it's going to work right now is something like when I turn 65, I start taking it out, and I will pay income tax on almost all of it. Presumably, I could give it to Breathe California, and
well, the options are you can make a gift by simply changing the beneficiary designation.
Now, beneficiary doesn't include paying it out to me. It's only if there's a residual after I die. Is that what we're talking about?
The beneficiaries are those people who will survive you. All right.
So I can't give the IRA itself away, the whole $6,000. I have to start taking that.
You're going unless you die before you're required before you start taking your minimum distributions.
Right.
70 and a half. Okay, roughly. Then you can make an outright change of beneficiary and make a gift that way by including a charity. That goes directly to the charity, all right? Yeah. And the benefits there are that the charity gets the full amount, no tax.
So if I die before 70 and I make Breathe California my beneficiary, that's a $6,000 that are not included in my estate.
The $6,000 goes directly to Breathe California instead of going to loved ones and having income tax at, let's say, 35% taken out of it. In which case, you've taken 35% of that $6,000 and changed it from tax dollars into gift dollars to Breathe California. Yeah. That's a very sensible move.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You can also use the balances in your qualified plan. You can put those balances into one of those charitable trusts that will provide income to loved ones, because frequently people say, well, I don't want to just disinherit my loved ones. Yeah. I want to help them. Well, you can take those balances, put it into a trust, have the trust pay out on a testamentary basis to beneficiaries an income for the rest of their lives, and then it goes to charity. And the beauty of that is you can extend the payment period to loved ones far beyond what would have been possible under the government rules for paying out those balances. Yeah. And you can recharacterize the income so that the income isn't treated as ordinary income, which is true with all the qualified plan income, but it can be treated as capital gains at much lower rates. So there's some real benefits to savvy planning here.